Hi, and welcome to Divorce on Planet Earth, Kate Sharf's real world advice for well intentioned humans. I'm your co host, Jane Prelinger.
And I am Kate Sharf.
Hello, Kate.
Hey there, Jane.
So, this is part 3 of our series called The Divorced Parents Pledge 30 Things You Should Promise Your Kids. So, Kate, this is a compilation of things that we have heard about in our practice over time, of themes, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Ideas that just kind of keep coming back.
That's right. So, as we explained in our first installment, the pledge is too long to discuss in one show segment. So, we've decided to break our discussion into 6 installments, and we have been discussing 5 clauses of the pledge in each installment. We're picking up today at number 11.
Right. And then, as we've been doing in previous parts of this series, you're going to read each clause or section, and then I'm just sort of going to riff on that, and hopefully you'll riff back.
Sounds good. I'll start with clause number 11. If you report something disturbing that happened on your other parent's watch, we won't have a conniption and run to the phone. We'll listen calmly and, if you ask, help brainstorm ways to cope. If the issue is potentially serious, we'll deal with it later, parent to parent. And we'll never let on when we're secretly psyched that it's not all paradise over there.
Yeah. So, kids sort of, they'll report things that happened at the other parent's house that are really upsetting to them sometimes, but they will also report things that they think will upset you. I mean, they do both. Mm-hmm. They do the first if they feel, that it's not safe to do it, to talk about what they're upset about with their with the parent they've just come to you from. Or, maybe they actually did talk to that parent, or, maybe it just occurred to them now to be, concerned about it. They do the latter, they tell you, they report, quote unquote bad things that happen to the other parent's house to provoke a reaction in you, because kids want to provoke reactions in their parents that will make their parents talk to each other. It's just sort of part of the reconciliation fantasy. If they can get you to connect around being angry, at least they're getting you to connect. It's
really
not because they're bad or manipulative. It's because they're upset about the divorce. Yeah. Most of the things that they report are not serious, but will agitate you, like, Dad gave us pizza again for the 6th meal in a row. But sometimes, it's something real, like, Mom hit us. Or, something, sometimes it's just something that, you wish that your other spouse had handled differently. Like, they might come and say, we met Jessica's kids today. Right? You knew it was coming, but you didn't get a heads up, and it would have been a lot better. And so the best way to handle most things is just sort of listen, because most things don't require a response. And, they don't require a response to your ex, most things. The truth is, like, the day-to-day stuff that our exes do with our kids, most of it we can't really do anything to influence, even if it bugs us. It just is. There are differences in parenting that are pretty significant, and even in married couples. So the best thing to do is just listen calmly, and if the kids really seem to want your help with it, or if they need it, there are a variety of ways of responding, depending on the age of the child. But if you're going to have to talk to their other parent about it, tell them. And tell them it's okay. Don't do it behind their back, because that's never a good idea. They'll find out. And even if they don't want you to talk to the other parent, it's important for them to understand, that from most situations and most kids of most ages, it's important for them to understand that you are their parents and you are going to talk about them, whether they like it or not, as long as you can do it appropriately. So, if it's something small or small-ish and not sort of threatening, like, Dad didn't let me have enough light on in my room. I like the overhead light on when I go to bed, and he just wants me to have the hall light. You can sort of say, okay, well, did you talk about it with Daddy? Did you tell him that you get scared? I did, but he didn't listen. Well, is there some way I can help you? What if you reminded Daddy that you sometimes worry there's a monster in the bathroom? Do you think he would listen to you? Because that's really the question: is do you think, child, that you will get the response you need? If he or she says, yeah, I should probably tell him that. Let them do it. Let them try to navigate it. If they cry and say he really, really won't listen, then you could say, well, is this something you'd like to talk to Daddy about? If they say no, then you need to dig a little more, because are they scared are they scared that he'll be mad that they reported to you? It doesn't mean he will, right? It could still be a fantasy. But if they say, yeah, I'd really like that, then you still need to go into the situation in a non-attacking mode. Because it may actually be that he said, sure, you can have the bathroom light on. Right. And it just didn't quite feel like the other house. You don't really know. Again, we've said this before. You don't really know if what the kid is saying is what really they're feeling. You don't really know if it actually is what the worry is. So I always recommend, and take everything with a grain of salt. Because as I've said, kids distort and manipulate because they're kids. So the best way to do it, I think, is in an email. Or if you have phone call, or face-to-face communication, fine. The best way to do it is say, hey, I don't really know what happened, but I just want you to know Claudia told me this. Yeah. So that you know, and, I'm not sure that's accurately, an accurate reflection, but she's reporting it to me for whatever it's worth. Yeah.
Okay. Clause number 12. You know it's hard to be a single parent, and you already feel bad about it. So we won't hit you over the head with it every time you groan about taking out the trash.
Right. Kids are going to groan, right? You ask them to unload the dishwasher and they'll groan. Or they'll say, okay. And then you'll say, I thought you said you were going to unload the dishwasher. And they'll say, you didn't say when. That was It's different. I'm not saying you should not have your kids do their chores or be responsible for the things that they should be responsible for. Although, as I said before, don't pile it on. This is, I think, a time for softness over expanded expectations. But I'm not saying you should let them off the hook. What I'm saying is, it is really different to say. Well, it's never a good thing to say. Who's going to do this if you don't? Who do you think is going to? Who do you think is going to clean up this laundry? Right? That's never good. But it's even worse if you say, it's only me now. I need you to do more. Or mom isn't here anymore, so I need you to be, pick up your... That is really... To expect your child to be more grown up than they are just because you got divorced is really unfair. And it adds insult to injury, I think.
So, on to clause 13. We won't regale you with horror stories about our split. You can't handle hearing about the cheating and the money shenanigans and all that adult business.
Yeah, I don't even really know if I need to add anything to this.
Right.
If they ask questions, that's one thing. Yeah. And you might even want to titrate how much information you give them. But they're not your therapist. They're not your friend.
Absolutely.
They're your kid, and it's not, they don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't have to.
Here's one I particularly love. Clause number 14. We won't put on puppy dog eyes and act rejected when you're missing your other parent. Yeah.
It really hurts. Sometimes when your child says, I really miss Daddy or Mommy, or I wish I want to go home, if Mommy or Daddy lives in the marital home, or, I want to go to Daddy's or Mommy's. Sometimes kids say it because they don't want to go to bed, right? Or they're mad at you, or they want out of a disciplinary action. But a lot of times they really do miss them. Because why wouldn't they? They're used to having access to you both all the time, or more. And missing them doesn't mean that they don't want to be with you. What it means is they wish they could be with both of you 100% of the time. And this just sucks. And don't forget, when they're with the other parent, they're saying they miss you.
Yeah. Really important. So clause 15. If one of us didn't want the divorce, we won't make you feel guilty that the other parent loves you, but not us.
Yeah. This actually happens. 'Cause it is really painful when your former, romantic partner has rejected you but still loves and wants to spend time with the people that you guys created together. Yeah. And it's, it's hard to hide that feeling, but if you can try to get in touch with some part of you that understands the importance to your child of having a loving relationship with both of you, and try to contain your, you may not be able to completely contain your sadness. You can be sad, but that's very different from being kind of envious or trying,
yes.
or making your kids feel like they're getting something that you should be getting, and it's not right.
Okay, so in our next installment, we will pick up with clause number 16. And if you've missed clauses 1 through 10, we encourage you to go back and listen to the earlier installments in the series. In the meantime, we know our pledge is by no means exhaustive. It's sort of a work in progress. So if listeners would like to write in with their own suggested clauses, we'd love to hear them.
Yep, and as I've done in earlier installments of this series, I'm going to end with this point. Do your best to keep this pledge. The ideas it has in it are really important. But as we always say on this show, this is tough stuff and you are only human. So when you screw up, and you will, own it. Apologize when it makes sense. Use the moment as a learning opportunity for you and for your kids. And finally, give yourself a break, please. You will get many, many, many more parenting points for the ongoing effort to keep your kids' needs front and center than you will for hitting the sweet spot in any one given moment.
Thanks for listening to Divorce on Planet Earth, Kate Sharf's real world advice for well-intentioned humans. We invite you to follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Divorce for Humans. That's Divorce, the number 4 humans. And on YouTube at Divorce on Planet Earth. That way you'll know when we have a new blog post, video, or podcast. Speaking of blogs, you can read Kate's at divorceonplanetearth.com. And if you have a general divorce question or an idea for a show topic, please write to us at info@divorceonplanetearth.com. We'd love to hear from you, and we promise not to share your personal information, including real name and email address. Please remember that the ideas we share here can never fully address any one listener's specific situation, are not offered as therapy or divorce coaching, and are not intended as a substitute for clinical services. Divorce on Planet Earth is produced by Eric Pagero. Our music was composed by Ben Kaunitz. I'm your co-host, Jane Prelinger.
I'm Kate Sharf.
We'll talk to you next time.